Poof. Poof. Visual effect. I mean, not visual effect. Magic. This is magic. This video is not scripted, and I know you saw the black border, which means that this is a video essay. This is going to be a very chaotic one. First of all, I changed my set around a bit, so it looks a little bit more spooky, because the other one I just put lights up and thought, this is good enough. My little duck Mordecai. Oh, he's my son. So, video essay, intro. We're going to be talking about Hereditary. You guys know that one? I got a comment in my last video talking about the lighthouse that I should talk about Hereditary. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. This could be a video essay or just me rambling. This is a rant is what it is. Spoilers. Spoilers. If you don't want spoilers for these movies, I'm probably out of focus because I'm leaning back. If you don't want spoilers for these movies, don't watch. You have to get out of here. Skedaddle. Fucking daddle. Why are you watching this video if you haven't seen Hereditary? Go do that. Go do that before you watch this. Last warning for people who haven't fucking seen the movie. Get the fuck out of here. What are you doing here? Did you hear? Did you help me? I told you to skedaddle. Why are you here? Charlie's scene with the minivan. Basically, there's this character, Charlie. She has an allergy to peanuts. She goes into anaphylactic shock, and Peter, who is getting high, basically has to drive her to a hospital. But at that time, these cultists, kind of put the peanuts there in order for her to have an allergic reaction, so Peter can drive her to drive her to the hospital in order for him to run into the deer. Drive. This is the driving motion. Veer off, and then Charlie's head goes splat. Great scene. More analytically, let's analyze this a bit. Amazing scene. The foreshadowing that practically nobody could have seen coming, I think, when at least in their first viewing. It just kind of haunts you, the kind of shot of just still on that pole, on the telephone pole, and then that's where Charlie's head fucking went kerplat. And it's great. It's horrifying, yes, but it's great. When I first saw that, a lot of the marketing was kind of showing that the main character was Charlie, this little girl who has these deformities that, maybe she has some kind of weird supernatural connection. And in reality, the movie does have that. She's possessed by Payman, which is, everyone knows, one of the eight kings of hell. But you didn't expect her to just die in the first 20 minutes. And that's why I wanted to bring up the other movies. So let's bring up two movies in particular, the ones that you already saw the ones that I'm going to talk about. I should have the paperback copy here. I should have gotten it before I put all the spider webs up. I don't see it. I put it down here. It's all the way back here. No! Psycho. It's a novel by Robert Bloch. It's also a movie by Alfred Hitchcock. And I'm going to be spoiling both for this video essay. For everybody who didn't know, Alfred Hitchcock bought almost every copy of Robert Bloch's book so that the ending and the murder scene wouldn't be spoiled. Everyone thought that the main character of the movie was Marion Crane. In the movie Psycho, we follow Marion Crane, and the whole time she stole a lot of money from her boss, and she's running away, and we kind of follow her this whole time, and you think that maybe she's the psycho. We go through the movie, it gets more suspenseful and scary until finally she takes this life-changing shower after she saw Norman Bates and how she could probably end up like that, stuck with all of her problems and whatnot, and could just come clean, return the money, and she can start her new life. It's great. It's a perfect kind of representation of that. And great character writing in such a short amount of time with such little dialogue as well. And then she fucking dies. It's an iconic scene, obviously. But the thing is that no one in the movie theater when this movie came out was expecting that at all. Not one of them. None of them. And the reason why is because when you watch it, you think she's the main character. And then all of a sudden she fucking dies in the first 20 minutes. That's fucking phenomenal. That's great. Now I wanted to talk about why that worked better than Robert Bloch's version of the murder. Now, Robert Bloch's version of the murder is great because it's only 2 sentences. It was the knife that, at that moment later, cut off her scream and her head. Much more graphic than the movie because the movie didn't show anything. All it did was just a bunch of stabbing. Her head was still intact. But it was a very short murder, but it was such an important scene. But the thing is, though, the difference is that Robert Bloch's Psycho starts following Norman Bates' character. Norman Bates is the main character throughout the whole novel, And that's the point. There is no really expectation of Marion Crane surviving, because to us, Marion Crane is just another character, while Norman Bates is the person that we're introduced to. And so that's why when we watch it in the movie, that Marion Crane was chosen to be the main character that we follow through, because that shock of the change of main character to Norman Bates, the killer, was the interesting part, was the fascinating part. And now that's why I want to, let's bring that back to Hereditary, right? In Hereditary, Charlie is seen kind of as the main character, right? Because all the marketing and whatnot, there's a lot of importance on her because of her mysteriousness. And then we realized that all that marketing was very well made, because identical to the Psycho marketing, in Psycho, we think that Marion Crane's the main character. Then she dies 30 minutes into the movie. The rest of the movie, we don't know what's going to happen. That's what made Psycho such a good movie. And that's kind of where Psycho the book lacked. And that's, I think, what they did a good job on that. Now, I want to also compare this with Knives Out. Knives Out is basically about this family, and this family's father had died. Someone anonymously hired this investigator who has to basically crack down on the case to see if it was possibly murder. So they go and check it out, and then we find out that the person who is supposed to take care of the man who died was there moments before he died. And then we realize that this whole time, because of the marketing, we start thinking, who killed him? He didn't kill himself. That was heavily implied, that somebody had killed him. Somebody else slit his throat. But then, 20 minutes into the movie, we find out that he slit his own throat. Yes, she had something to do with his murder, but at the end of his life, he was the one that took it away from himself. So, technically, there was this big plot twist that he actually did kill himself. And now the story changes from who did it to we know who did it, and are they gonna get away with it? And then there's an even longer investigation, and it just goes on and keeps going and going. That's what makes the plot twist in Knives Out so well, is because we don't know what the rest of the movie's gonna be, because we had this expectation that the whole movie was going to be trying to figure out how he died and who killed him. Now, let's take this back to Hereditary. The marketing was very much that something was wrong with this girl, with Charlie, that somehow she was the main character, and we had to figure out what was going on with her. But then, 20 minutes into the movie, her head gets cut off. And so the rest of the movie, we're wondering, what is this movie going to be about? And then you realize it's about her death. And then you realize it isn't about her death at all. And then there comes the other plot twist. And I want to talk about why these plot twists work in particular. With Psycho, the reason why the plot twist worked so well was because we had a constantly changing main character. At first, it was Marion. Then it was Norman. Well, we don't want to root for Norman because he's the murderer. Let's start rooting for Marion's sister and ex-boyfriend. Now they are the people that we're rooting for, because they find out, oh no, he's been dressing up as his mom and killing hot chicks. And then that was the bigger plot twist at the end. I want to talk about how Knives Out also follows that same sense of changing main characters, plot twist, changing main characters, plot twist, finishing the movie. Because this is what happens. First, we think that the family are the protagonists. We think that they are the people that we are supposed to be rooting for. And then we find out that after the death of the guy, that we're actually rooting for the person who killed him. The housekeeper, Marta. I should give these people names. I'm sure you've already seen the movie, so I don't know. So then now we're following Marta. But then Marta gets all of the inheritance. And you start thinking, yes, she killed him. But now the family hates her because she has everything that they want. And now there's a shift in power there. So there were two plot twists that happened there, where Marta became the main character, although somehow the person that we're not supposed to be rooting for, and then she became the person we'll be rooting for. And then at the very end, there's another plot twist where we find out that the actual person that planned all this was not only ransom, that Marta was innocent the whole time. All these plot twists work into each other that make this narrative of what's going to happen next. And much like how Psycho, you didn't know what was going to happen after Marion's death. You didn't know what was going to happen after the investigation started. And you had no fucking idea that Norman would be dressing up as a woman. The plot twist with Charlie dying was important because that was how it was marketed, that this was her story. But then the rest of the movie starts changing main characters. Then you think Toni Collette's character is the main character. She gets possessed and then chops her own fucking head off at the end the attic, and boo da. Peter is the main character, and it turns out he was the main character the whole time because a cult has been trying to put this demon into his body. And that is what I think made the story so well, is because in that moment when the music by Colin Stetson is going and it's just super intense, and then boom, her head gets cut off, and then just silence. You feel what Peter's feeling. Because you don't know what the fuck to do. And you don't know what the fuck is gonna happen next. That's what makes it such a good scene. That's what makes the rest of the movie so effective. If it wasn't for that surprise, if it wasn't for that plot twist, the twist of the cult at the end, I don't think it'd be as impactful. Seeing Charlie's head on top of that mannequin, it's great. And I think that the thing is that the way to do plot twists is not just to have one plot twist, is to have twists throughout the story that basically change the story. Because it's not just one story, it's multiple stories happening after each twist. I'm going to end it at that. I hope you guys like the set. I bought candles and I bought spider webs. Please like the set. I'm begging you, I worked hard on it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I did not write a script for this, so if this makes sense, please let me know, and if I don't, editing me will probably tell me that I did a bad job. He did a bad job. I will see you next time, where I just fucking die. I will pass away on camera and come back to life, thriller style. Happy Halloween.